Shabbat Shalom, everyone. All right. So, as you know, yesterday was the Passover and our Passover meal, also known as communion. Today begins the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So, let's get right into it. Today, yesterday we went over the Sabbath do's and don'ts. Today, we'll be going over passing over time, okay, from sin to win. All right. So, as you can see here, the title for this slide is called Passing Over Times. But you see, there's a subliminal message in here. It says, Pass over me. Okay. And I did that specifically because, as you can see on your left hand side, there's the picture of the drawing where the blood is being placed on the doorpost. Okay. Of course, this was for the angel of death to pass over, which was the Passover Eve. Okay. And then it goes into the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And I'm going to tie that in to in this lesson so that you understand a little bit more. Okay. I didn't want to bring that portion in yesterday because yesterday was more so about the Passover of Christ and the Holy Communion. But yes, they still are the same. You know, just one is Old Testament, one is New Testament, one is under Moses, and one is under Christ. We still follow the complete Bible, though. Okay. So, without further ado, passing over me, also known as passing over the times. Remember, from sin to win. Let's begin. We're going to start with the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 6 through 8. All right. In fact, I'll start from verse 4 because we left over. We started from verse 4 and verse 5 yesterday for the Passover. So verse 4 reads, These are the feast of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread. And the first day ye shall have an holy convocation, ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the seventh day is an holy convocation, ye shall do no servile work therein. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to point out in verse 4, the Most High says, which ye shall proclaim in their season. So, you know, for those who are new, maybe this is your first time, second time, maybe you're unsure about how things go in the holy days. Now, the term proclaim, check the word out, right? Check the definition. Accosting a person met, to call out to address by name, okay? That are bidden. And we know this term refers to what? The marriage chamber of Christ, right? Those that are bidden in the New Testament. Also means to what? To invite, to mention, to give name, to preach. Okay, that would be making a proclaim or making a proclamation. Publish, read. Okay, So all these things, that's what it means to proclaim in their season. So for those who may have come from the Christian church, or um, you know, one of the thousands of Christian denominations out there, I think there's like 36,000. Um, if you're just focusing on the Bible, understand that you cannot just pinpoint a time that's comfortable for you to serve the Most High. He proclaimed it in specific times, which means it was up to us as His creation to find out what those times were. Okay, this is why it says, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. Now, there's also a little funny area, or what I would say a gray area. A lot of people don't understand this word convocation. Okay, so what does convocation mean? In the convocation, it says something called out, that is a public meeting, okay, also considered as a rehearsal or an assembly, okay, or a reading, all right? So this is important. The Most High is looking to see a meeting of what? A holy convocation which ye shall proclaim in their season. So if this was a meeting, convocation is a meeting or an assembly, proclaim would be what? Proclaim would be, once again, brothers and sisters, proclaim would be to preach in a public meeting or an assembly, okay? A reading. So pretty much every minister, every pastor, every preacher, every elder, every bishop, everyone who claims to stand at a pulpit should be teaching this every season. Okay, within their seasons, they should be teaching it. This was commanded by the Most High. All right, and you know how a lot of people will try and dispute, oh, it's Old Testament. Well, you tell them, where is Christmas at in the Bible? This entire chapter, Leviticus 23, gives every single festival that is commanded by the Most High. Okay, that is to be kept forever. But when it comes to, let's just say some um, pagan days for Babylon, known as America, they wanna talk about Fourth of July, Thanksgiving, um, today, right? Patrick's Day, right? I'm not saying saint because it ain't no saint. Okay, it's Patrick's Day, Christmas, New Year's, but everything the Most High has already aligned. Brothers and sisters, you have to remember that Satan said once before, Isaiah 14 and 12, okay, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. So, verse 14, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. So remember, this world is the kingdom of Satan. Okay, and when he was cast down, he said, I will be like the Most High. Okay, so if the Most High has holy days, he wanted holy days. Christmas, New Year's, pagan Easter. Yes, I say pagan Easter. Okay, pagan Easter, uh, 4th of July, all these other days, Ash Wednesday, like it's not even in the Bible. Okay, all these days, you know, is all to give honor to Satan. But how do we, as believers or people who are trying to strive in righteousness, get back to the Most High? We follow what the Most High says. Most High gave us commands in the entire Bible. Okay. All right. And we're to abide by them. Now, brothers and sisters, if you're catching havoc, from people, all right, who say, oh, well, that's the Old Testament. All right. Now, pose this question to them. Let's say a nurse, right? A nurse has to study, correct? They have to study and read books, right? If they're going for a certification and they have 100-page book, would they start at page 50? A doctor who has a whole 8-9 years to study. If they had a book of 700 pages, would they start at page 350? Or would they start from page 1? That's the common line of defense for all those who don't want to serve the Most High is, oh, that's the Old Testament. There's also people who do the same thing, but on the opposite end. Oh, that's the New Testament. I don't want to serve Christ. But you ask, do you read half a book or do you read the whole thing? Right? Let's say if you're going to purchase a home and you got to sign a contract, right? For that mortgage. Are you going to start from page 12 or are you going to start from page 1? So don't sit there and tell me that, oh, you're reading that and that's done away with. Then your pages would be done away with. Then your contract would be done away with. And your certification would be done away with. You didn't even go to school and start from page 50. So why would you why is there a line of defense against God's word to start only in half of the scriptures? It's really mind-boggling as well, because once you think about it, if you understand the Bible, you see that most of the prophets are in the Old Testament, and the prophecies are for the end, matching into the book of Revelation. So how, by not reading the Old Testament, you actually do yourself a disadvantage in knowing anything about Christ's return and how to prepare yourself. That also includes the Apocrypha, because the Apocrypha was a part of the Old Testament. Okay, but moving forward, 23, Leviticus 23, verse 5. And in the 14th day of the first month, it is at even, it is the Lord's Passover. So normally, I would go into this even, but for the sake of prophecy, this is why this one began at even. Okay, and that I'm referring to the Passover of Christ's betrayal. That's why it started at even. All right, and it said it is the Lord's Passover. So here, I want you to understand the word Passover, Pesach, okay, or Pesach. It means pretermission, or that is an exemption. Okay, I'm gonna get you all the definitions. Don't worry. And what does a pretermission? Pretermission mean a passing by or an omission. Okay, so omission will come from the root word omit. Okay, and omit means to leave, pass by, or neglect. Okay, or better yet, this term, the second one, to leave out. Okay, so the Passover literally means to leave out, to alienate, to push aside. Okay, so when you think about this, this holy day is saying that around this time something major is going to happen, and if you do not observe this time well, you are going to get caught up in whatever you were supposed to be protected by, and it was supposed to pass over you. Okay, we see this with what? We see this with the Old Testament, and I'm going to get into there in a little bit. But once again, let me share that with y'all. Pesach, or Pesach, an exemption, pretermission, an exemption used technically of the Jewish. Well, we don't say Jewish because there's no J in Hebrew, so it would be Hebrew Passover. Okay, and going to the root. The root word is Pesach or Pesach. It is to hop or to skip over or what? Spare. So to observe the Passover was to spare your life for the year. And specifically, something was coming to hurt individuals. So you needed the protection of the Most High. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Passover is literally to skip over. Okay. Or spare. Now, how does it come into, sense with Christ? Okay. Christ was the Passover lamb, correct? So this means how did it skip over us? Taking communion and accepting Christ as your Passover lamb, you now have the ability by the Most High's grace, he will skip over your punishment because Christ has already taken the punishment for you. Okay, and in that term, the Most High spared us so that he can give the world his only begotten Son. You see how that's following scripture? Okay, so if you don't, so understand that the Passover is not just for, the angel of death in the Old Testament, but it's also going into Christ, taking those whips and those stripes and those beatings and being hung for our sins. Okay. And I'll bring that word exemption out for y'all. See? Look what it says, exemption, freedom from any service, charge, burden, tax, evil, or requisition to which others are subject. Immunity, privilege. Now, I'm going to say this. In no way, shape, or form. Okay? In no way, shape, or form am I saying that that you can have a license to sin. In no way, shape, or form. Because you see in the Christian church, this is quite rampant. And oh, we have grace. Oh, we have grace. Oh, we have grace. He died for us. Please do not use this privilege, okay, as an immunity to say that God has covered your sin. I'm going to show you. Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus 15, verse 20. It says, He, meaning the Most High, hath commanded no man to do wickedly, neither hath he given any man license to sin. So do not think that this immunity, this privilege is an exemption from your charge or your burdens of evil. Okay, you don't. When I say this, I mean you just don't get to do it and then take the Passover and then be like, okay, I'm still gonna smoke after, I'm still gonna drink, I'm still gonna fornicate, I'm still gonna curse. Like, you don't get to do that. In fact, you know, you're going to see me. I'll bring it out. I didn't want to bring it out yet, but when you do this, when you feel that you have a license to sin, you automatically are placed in the scripture of one moment. Thank you for the brief pause, for your patience. Yes, so once again, as I said, if you then use this exemption as saying, oh, God's got me, okay, you become a partaker in Hebrews chapter 6, verse 6. It says, if they shall fall away, to renew them again unto repentance, seeing they crucify to themselves the Son of God afresh and put him to an open shame. Okay, so if you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over and renew yourself by saying, oh, I'm sorry, oh, I'm sorry, oh, I'm sorry, it does absolutely nothing. Okay, and a lot of Daily, a lot of preachers, people who are holding these church positions, they should be teaching people this, that you can't just go and say, I'm sorry, and then commit the same thing over and over and over and over again. Like, the Most High doesn't work that way. So sorry to shatter a lot of people's dreams and hopes, but a lot of people are going to find out on the day of judgment. God never had them. It's best, brothers and sisters, in order to avoid this, just follow the scriptures. Just lay into the Most High's words, not your own. All right. Moving forward, back to Leviticus 23, verse 6. It says, on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread. So the 7 days of unleavened bread. Okay. So take a look, right? A lot of people don't recognize this. What is unleavened bread? You can see matzah. Okay. That's unleavened bread. What does it mean? It means sweetness. Okay. Watch this. Okay. So the bread was supposed to be somewhat sweet. All right. Here you see it says specifically an unfermented cake or loaf, or of the festival of Passover, because no leaven was then used. So an unleavened bread, an unleavened cake, anything pretty much without leaven. So I want you to understand this, right? Don't always, don't only, excuse me, just look at the word yeast, but then you have to look at the clear term unfermented. So that means anything fermented also was out of the picture for the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Okay. Right. And as you can see, the root word came from 4711, and it says to suck, which means milk. So what does this mean? You would add like a sweetness of milk with it as well. Okay. So this is your unleavened bread that we must eat for 7 days. Okay. I went over the Holy Convocation. I'll just read it again. And the first day ye shall have an holy convocation, and ye shall do no servile work. Now, understand this. The first day is the 15th day. Okay. Then you have a few more days, an entire week. Okay. And then the last day is another day. So that makes 2 Sabbaths in this period, or three. Passover, the next day, which is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the first day, and then the very last day, okay, which is the seventh day of this feast day, okay? So that would be 3 holy days that are connected together. No, 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 these holy days are not, on the original Sabbath days, so they're days within the week, okay? Now, a lot of people get confused when it says, ye shall do no servile work. Now, let's take a look at this servile work, okay? Because, and servile, let's don't look at the word ministry or minister, because obviously, we have to work as ministers. Our job is to give you the holy convocation, right? So, when you're looking at servile, it clearly says work of any kind. Now, let's see what happens. So when it says to serve, okay, it means to work in any sense. That's the abad, that's the root, okay? So with that being said, labor, serve, okay? Your service, set a work. So this is meaning your everyday work, okay? Your everyday work. That's what it is, y'all. A lot of people may not like that, but that's exactly what it is. It's meaning any kind of work, what you would consider as like, and when I say work, I'm referring to what you're getting paid for. Okay, if it's your personal business, let's say if you're an influencer on social media, and you're getting paid, put that down. If you're working at Walmart, or if you're working at, a state job, whatever you're doing, if you're on a farm, the work must stop. The only person allowed to work at that point really is really the ministers, okay? Those who would be conducting the holy convocation. Okay. So no servile work. All right. And as you can see, servile means what? Work of any kind. And then there's another understanding. The word work means occupation. Okay, look what it says, generally employment. Okay, so business, okay, occupation. All right, that would be what? Everything in regards to your 9 to 5, 8 to 5, 7 to 3, however you do it. Okay, whatever you're getting money from, it stops. All right. But ye shall have, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. Even the seventh day is an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. Now, I'm going to go over the offerings. Do we make offerings now? No. Why? Because Christ is the Lamb who died for us. All right. So there's no need to make offerings by fire. But I'm going to show you that the offerings are not, they're not grievous. Okay. Opposed to when people think of, oh, we got to do an offering, or I'm not cutting no this, or I'm not cutting no that. No one said you have to spill blood. In fact, the offerings of the Most High are actually a wonderful thing, and they'll bring you joy by doing them. All right. Moving forward, going to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1 through 8. And I read, observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. Now, this one is very tricky because a lot of people today, they consider Abib to be April. And I'm not really sure how they're getting April. Okay. Um, but we know, as I shared with y'all before, that once again, let me even share with you. Okay. Let me share. Let's see. We can find it here. So here it gives the third month of the year. Oh, they hit it too. But look what it says, the first month of spring. Okay, but they're changing it. Yes. Now watch this. When you type in, I did this a while back ago. The calendar. Okay. So the Gregorian calendar. It says the New Year's Day was changed from March 25th to January 1st. Now, this is along the right time, but what they did was they went off of the new moon. Okay. We do not go off of the new moon. We go by the Bible and the book of Enoch. Okay. So March is the first month. A lot of people don't know this. The Gregorian calendar changed the New Year's from March to January. Okay. So I don't know where people are getting April from, but hey, I would suggest them do a lot of heavy researching, and they will find that it's not April, it's actually March. Okay. Um, Moving forward, verse 2. Thou, thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto the Lord thy God of the flock and the herd in the place which the Lord shall choose to place his name there. Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it, 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction. For thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt, all the days of thy life. Now, this is really interesting because no one ever correlates this to, let me get it, Isaiah 48. Now, remember, it said, even the bread of affliction. Let me see. I have a brain freeze here. And the bread of affliction, give me 1 second. All right, so really quickly, um, this, even the bread of affliction, no one ever recognizes that it does go into Isaiah 48, okay, as I shared, Isaiah 48 and 10, okay. Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. So understand that with affliction, what type of affliction? The Most High always carried his people, excuse me, the Most High always carried his people out of bondage with the bread of affliction. That was the beginning furnace. Okay. So, what was tried in the furnace of affliction first? How they could handle being without food, or being having a lesser quality of food than what they were. Okay. If you notice, it says, even in the bread of affliction, for thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste. Okay, so you're not going to be able to have a full course meal. You would have to rush, right? Okay. Even you see in Kings here, and say, thus the king, put this fellow in prison, feed him with the bread of affliction and with the water of affliction until I come in peace. This usually was considered a point where you were tried, to the point where you were tried to see how far you could be bent. Okay. And how did they do it? With food and water. Remember this, because I'm going to go into, if it be the Most High's will, which will be soon, I'm going to go into a lesson about famine, the famine that's about to come, or that's already here. It's only going to get worse through inflation. And this will be the beginning of the bread of affliction and the water of affliction. Okay, you're going to see less things. You're going to be able to get less quantities. Okay, we are all about to be put through the furnace of affliction through bread and water. Even a correlation for today. Okay. Going back to Deuteronomy 16. Okay. 16 and 4. And there shall be no leavened bread seen with thee in all thy coasts 7 days, neither shall there anything of the flesh which thou sacrificed the first day at even remain all night until the morning. So when we made our lamb last night, that was it. You don't have any more. If you don't eat it all, it's got to be thrown away. That's the rules of the Most High. As far as the leavened bread that's seen, that shouldn't be seen in all thy coasts 7 days. Obviously, we don't own a nation, okay? Coast more so of that borderline of a nation, right? So it would just be applied to what? A boundary, right? A boundary. Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which the Lord giveth thee, but at the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even, at the going down of the sun, at the season that thou came forth out of Egypt. And thou shalt roast and eat it in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. And thou shalt turn in the morning and go unto thy tent. 6 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and on the seventh day shall be a solemn assembly to the Lord thy God. Thou shalt do no work. So once again, this is just a little background as to why this is important, right? First Ezra, chapter 1. I thought this would be interesting. Just a little history here. And Joconias and Samius and Nathaniel his brother and Asabius and Achiel and Joram, captains over thousands, gave to the Levites for Passover 5,000 sheep and 700 calves. And I was going to read this whole thing, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. Um, it is quite long, but if you want to learn about different points in history with the children of Israel and the Passover, you can also read First Ezra chapter 1. Okay. Now getting to the meat. Exodus chapter 12. I'm going to read this whole thing. Okay. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. So once again, remember I said that, right? March was originally the first month. Most High said, It shall be the first month of the year to us, those who follow him. Okay? Now, let the other world do what they want and call it the third month of the year, but if you're going to serve the Most High, this is how you knew how to serve him, by understanding his calendar. Okay? And his calendar said March was the first month of the year. Verse 3, Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month ye shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it, according to the number of the souls, every man according to his eating shall make for your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep and from the goats. Now, I lived in the Middle East. Now you can find, little areas where you can buy sheep, okay, and goats and different things, like the whole thing, right? You can check for the fur and the wool and all that stuff, right? In the United States and this more civilized, so to speak, countries, so, or should I say more developed? I shouldn't say civilized. I should say more developed countries. Um, they wouldn't let you do such a thing, right? Unless you had like your own farm or your own property, right? So I believe that this would be one of the areas where we would have grace, because obviously we can't tell what type of lamb it is. All right. If you have the means to do so, do so. But if you don't, pray over it, and at least you're going through what the Most High said as far as emotions go, and doing it properly. Verse 6, and ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation shall kill it in the evening. So notice your lamb even had to be bought by the 10th day, and then you killed it on the 14th day, right? So there was a lot to this, okay? Verse 7, and they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper doorposts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it. All right, so that's the blood of the lamb, placing, as you see in the picture to the left, placing it on the two side posts and on the one above. Right? Didn't have to be fully covered in blood, but had to be visible. All right, couldn't just be sprinkling, little tabs up there. Right. Verse 8, and they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. All right. So even the Most High, he's a chef too, right? Because he's got the herbs. He tells you what's to put with it, right? So yes, Most High is not about. He's not for the whole eating the meat raw and medium cooked, and he don't want his people doing that. I'm sorry. If you like that, you should repent, because you shouldn't be eating that in the first place. Eating the blood of an animal, because the blood holds the soul. By the way, um, you'd have to do some more research for that one. But I suggest you too, if you're into that, or if you're moving away from that. But the Most High clearly makes it. He makes it clear. Roast, okay. I'm just bringing it out. Roast means roasted. It means nice and tender, okay, with fire and with bitter herbs, okay. And what would be your bitter? Okay, the seasonings and different things of that nature, okay. Moving forward. Well, actually, let me see what they got for herbs. Okay, they don't got anything for herbs, all right. But we get the point. Bitter herbs would be more like your seasonings, right? Verse 9, it says, eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire. His head with his legs, and with the pertinence thereof. Okay. Pertinence is the center of the body. Okay. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, and your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. Now, a lot of people don't do this, because of the institution with Christ. However, you want to have something on your feet, loins, okay. Usually just saying have your bags ready, have your clothes on, you know, your belt, things like that. Okay. And it does say eat it in haste. So, the whole point was to get the feel and the remembrance of, you know, having to rush like the children of Israel had to do, and even some of the Gentiles that was with them, they had to do, you know, after death came and struck all the firstborns in Egypt, they had to get up and go. right? That was their last meal before they go, right? So they was rushing, right? 4, verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. Now, when you look at this word firstborn, I get it because the men of the Most High. Okay, it does say here firstborn, chief, eldest, and then it says son. Then from a root word, it does also go to those who would have the birthright or those who would primarily burst the womb. So who's coming out first? Okay, bring forth first child. Okay, that's what the firstborn would be. So not just males. So my sense, if I'm understanding properly, so I think I am, so the firstborn was not only young men or boys or men, but it was also females as well. Okay. That's why it says here both man and beast. Okay. You get this term, excuse me, you get this term man, it just means person, a human being. Okay. So this would give us what? This would give us an understanding that it was both male and female, right? All right. Verse 13, and the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. So remember, Passover was considered the exemption. Okay, it was considered passing over you. So, yes, this was a physical sign to say that you serve the Most High. Okay, and here once again, you see that word pass, which means to skip over or spare, and then you see over. Okay, skip over, skip against, skip above, skip the touching. Okay, so Most High was given an exemption at this point, right? Verse 14. Oh, wait, let me go to the plague. Okay. Now understand, a plague is an infliction of disease, but mind you, you can't always consider it as a disease. Okay. Why? Because the plagues of Egypt were frogs, they were blood, they were famine, right? Different things consist of a plague. See, so the term plague would mean infest with disease, calamity, or natural evil of any kind. Okay, so they were protected from all plagues, all plagues, right? Exodus 20 and 14. This day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. So this was something that was supposed to be observed every single year. 7 days ye shall eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. Now, I'll show you, ye shall put away. What does put away mean? Okay. Repose, desist. Okay. Now, what it says, make to cease here. All right. It says keep. It says suffer to be lacking, leave, rid, make to rest, still, take away. All right. So I'm never going to sit here and say, go against the Most High. That's one thing you're never going to hear me say. However, brothers and sisters, do understand that this term put away, it has a special meaning, right? Shabbath, okay, also somewhat going to a correlation to Shabbath or Shabbat, okay? But it means, as you can see, to lay at rest. Repose means to lay at rest. So what does it mean when we put it out? Leaven, okay, out of our homes or our prospective places. We're putting it, so if you can, put it out the home. If you can't, separate it aside. The whole purpose was to not eat the leavened bread. Now, to be wise, like once again, I said, I'm never going to tell anyone to go against the Most High. Okay? Never, ever, ever. But, brothers and sisters, with inflation going on worldwide, is it smart to give up your little bit? It's best just to put it up aside, and then after the feast, you can partake of it. Okay? Because and you don't want to be tempting the Most High. Well, Most High, you told me to get rid of leaven, and I got rid of all my bread. Now bread is $10 a piece. He told you to put it aside. Okay? So be wise, brothers and sisters. Be wise. Verse 16. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and the seventh day there shall be an holy convocation. No manner of work shall be done in them, save, which means except that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. So there was an exception on those Sabbaths. Okay, the first day and the seventh day, you are allowed to cook only for things you can eat, because the whole purpose was to remember when our forefathers and foremothers were fleeing from Egypt. It's right there. On the first day is a holy convocation, which is a Shabbat, and the seventh day. No work shall be done, but, and let me show you, save means except. Okay. Save means only or except, right? Only that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. So this would be the only time that you can cook on the Sabbaths. Okay. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this self same day I have brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first month, on the 14th day, on the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, which he be a stranger, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Once again, I shared that with you. Okay. When it says, okay, so it says to come, to appear, to exist, okay, to acquire, all right, to be able, okay, to be ready, to take hold on. So considering, like I said, all the things that's going on, be wise. Okay. It says, when it says leaven found in your houses, it says here, take hold on. So do not, one, tempt yourself and allow the food to be out to the point that you're going to take hold of it and start eating it. Okay. Put it aside, put it aside, put it aside. And I read verse 20, and ye shall eat nothing leavened, in all your habitations shall ye eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel, which is the top post of the door, and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out the door of his house until the morning. So we did this, okay? This wasn't instituted necessarily for the Passover of Christ, but this is still to be considered, okay, to be done. So we did this on the very Passover because it's 2 and 2 together, okay? For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts. The Lord will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. And here we go. Destroyer, meaning ruin. Okay, meaning ruin. Also another name for Satan. And he shall observe, and ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and thy sons forever. So this is something to be considered forever, to be done forever. And it shall come to pass when ye become to the land which the Lord will give you, according as he hath promised, that ye shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass when your children shall say unto you, what mean ye by this service? That ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who pass over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses, and the people bowed the head and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. There it is. All right. So I just wanted to bring that whole understanding of the Passover with the Old Testament and Moses and Aaron and what the children of Israel were supposed to do. In fact, I did make a typo there. Okay, sorry about that. Book of Numbers, chapter 33. I'm going to the book of Numbers, chapter 33, verse 3 through 4. And I read, and they departed from Ramses in the first month, and on the 15th day of the first month, on the morrow after the Passover, the children of Israel went out with a high hand and in the sight of all the Egyptians. For all the Egyptians buried all their for the Egyptians buried all their firstborn, which the Lord has smitten among them, upon their gods. Also, the Lord executed judgment. So obviously we see once again, it's making the correlation. This is firstborns, all firstborns, right? And so the Most High did that for the children of Israel to make a safe passage out of Egypt, more so as a distraction. But of course, when death happens, no one's going to be worried about the next person. And so the Most High planned it strategically. Going to Exodus chapter 13. Exodus chapter 13, verse 1 through 16. One moment, please. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. Now we're right back. Exodus 3:13, chapter 1 says, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both man and beast, it is mine. So, as the Most High went to attack or bring down the Egyptian firstborns, he also consecrated the firstborns of the children of Israel. Now, this firstborn is different from, the firstborns being killed through the plague from the Egyptians. And I'm going to show you in scripture that this firstborn is referring to males. Okay. Verse 3. And Moses said unto the people, Remember this day in which ye came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of hand the Lord brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. So if you didn't know what Egypt means, Egypt is a coined term as house of bondage. In the book of Revelation, you may see that it says Babylon is spiritual Egypt. It's called a house of bondage, where people work, and see no benefit, specifically the children of Israel. How can you work, for example, how can you work 3 jobs and still live in an apartment? Doesn't make sense, right? Something's not right there. Or how can, your credit be good, but you can't get a home, right? Or how come, you can have a degree, but you can't get a home, or you can't get certain things, right? It's a house of bondage for the children of Israel. This day came ye out in the month of Abib, and it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Jebusites, which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee, a land flowing with milk and honey, that thou shalt keep this service in this month. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and in the 7th day shall be a feast to the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leavened bread be seen within thee, neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters. Thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, This is done because that which the Lord did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt. And it shall be for a sign unto thee upon thine hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. For with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt. Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in his season from year to year. So this is to be what? Kept from year to year. That's forever. And it shall be, when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites, as he sware unto thee and to thy fathers, and shall give it thee, that thou shalt set apart unto the Lord all that openeth the matrix, and every firstling that cometh of a beast which thou hast, thy males shall be the Lord's. So let's see. All that openeth the matrix, okay, and then he's referring to the males. All the firstborn males belong to the Most High. How do we know this? Verse 13. And every firstling of an ass, which is a donkey, thou shalt redeem with a lamb, and if thou wilt not redeem it, then thou shalt break his neck. All the firstborn of man among thy children shalt thou redeem. So notice this, right? A daughter can be born, but the firstborn of the boys is the one that is given to the Most High. If you have two boys, it's the first boy that gets the privilege to be with the Most High and serve Him. Okay. And what does this mean? This means that you, as a parent, should be emphasizing to your child that you're the firstborn, you belong to the Most High. And by you being, and don't just sit there and say, you belong to the Most High. That comes with works as being a minister or an apostle or a prophet, different things. And of course, they have to read the Bible and learn more about that. Okay. And it shall be when thy son asketh thee in time to come, saying, what is this? That thou shalt say unto him, by strength of hand, the Lord brought us out from Egypt, from the house of bondage. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that the Lord slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beasts. Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all that openeth the matrix, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem. So notice this, right? All firstborns belong to the Most High, males. All firstborn of your children are to be redeemed. Okay, so now this gives special privilege to both. Okay, so watch this. If you have, for example, a daughter that's firstborn, she is to be what? Preserved for work of the Most High. Okay, if you have a firstborn male, then what? Then they belong to the Most High, and that would be more so ministering positions. Okay, let's see if they give us. And so, look at this word, to rescue, to recover. So that means even the female who is the firstborn should not be doing the things of the world. Her focus should be on only pleasing the Most High. That should be the focus. And verse 16, and it shall be for a token upon thy hand, and for frontlets between thy eyes, for the strength of hand. The Lord brought us forth out of Egypt. All right. Exodus chapter 34. Exodus chapter 34, verse 10, going 10 to verse 25. And I read, excuse me, and I read, and he said, behold, I make a covenant before all thy people. I will do marvels such as have not been done in all the earth, or in any nation. And all the people among which thou art shall see the work of the Lord, for it is a terrible thing that I will do with thee. Now let's bring this, because when people say terrible, what? No. Terrible means he's going to do something so frightening, so big, that it's going to make you honor him, reverence, or to revere. It's going to make you fear the Most High He's going to be like, wow, it's not. And if you're serving the Most High, it's not for you to get scared. Okay. Just for you to be like, wow, look at my power. Look at the Most High. Look at the Almighty I serve. Right. Verse 11. Observe that thou, that which I command thee this day. Behold, I drive out before thee the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. Now, this was crazy, right? What's crazy is the Most High said, take heed lest you make a covenant. A covenant is like a pledge, okay? It's a it's a pledge. It's like a compact, right? And so think of it this way, right? It says to come, a coming together, a meeting or agreement of minds. Pledge is more so like a deposit or a leaving possession of a person, something to secure, or it's also, think of it like an allegiance. So for those in Babylon, America, when we were back in the day in school, or even when you go in to do a citizenship test, you have to pledge allegiance. You have to make a covenant to this country. This is something the Most High said to be aware of. Because should you start doing this, then the Most High is going to look at you as being on their side. We only pledge to the great I am, the Most High, Christ, and the Holy Spirit. Verse 13. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. And even that was a interjection, because there's no need to put jealous twice. We know the Most High's name is in Exodus chapter 3, 13 and 14, great I am, which is Ahia. So whose name is Ahia, who is a jealous God. Verse 15, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a whoring after their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, and thou eat of his sacrifice. So the Most High was like, hey, I don't want you to be partaking with this nonsense. I don't want you to be partaking in Islam. I don't want you to be partaking in Hinduism and Buddhism and Rastafarianism, Haile Selassie, all that stuff, like, and the Catholic Church, and the Seventh Day Adventist Church, and the Baptist Church. Like, everyone's sacrificing to something, whether you believe it or not. Mormon Church, the Latter Day Saints Church, they all sacrificing to someone, and they're not even calling on the Most High, right? And thou take of their daughters unto thy sons, and their daughters go a whoring after their gods, and make thy sons go a whoring after their gods. So let let's bring this into perspective. A whoring means to commit adultery. Okay, that's what it means. Also means to commit idolatry. So also means to what? Commit fornication. So if you notice, right, look at when you're serious about the Most High, you are not committing adultery or fornication. But look at these Christians. They want to have boyfriends and girlfriends every 5, 6, 7 months. Look at these Muslims. They will some of the most successful people are Muslims, and then you'll find that, especially with the black and brown community, oh, it brings me peace, but then they're out, fornicating with different females. What? I thought you were about peace. Obviously, you're not about God's peace because you're out there drinking and fornicating with people. And it said, the Most High said, when you stop following Him, the males and the daughters, the sons and daughters, will go a whoring. What do we see in today's society? So that meant what? This is the number one reason people don't want to follow the Most High, because the Most High is the only, so to speak, I hate even to say this word, religion, but the Most High is the only structure of what the world will call religion that will hold you accountable to what you're doing. Quran doesn't do that. I've read it. Hindus don't do that. Buddhists don't do that. Rastafarians definitely. I met a lot of them in Ethiopia. They don't do that. There's for all these nations of Muslims definitely don't do that. I mean, and you look at it, right? They be beating people and all kinds of things, right? How can you call this holy? How can you go to church on Sunday and go to and you just came from the club on Saturday and Friday? What? I mean, even if Sunday was the proper day, which it's not, that's how you gonna serve the Most High? Like, that's not even good representation. That's like treacherous. People wonder why, you know, the world is the way it is. No one wants to be held accountable. That's why everyone wants to say the Bible was written by a white man, which is wrong. That's why people want to say the Bible is a fairy tale, which is wrong. Okay. The Bible is just a bunch of words. That's wrong. Because I could pull up your sin. I can pull up anybody's sin, my own sin. You can pull up any sin in the Bible. It's just because you or that individual haven't read to study. So when you study and you understand the words and the breakdown, you'd be like, oh my goodness, wow, that's what that means? How many people knew going a whoring after their gods meant that when you worship idolatry, when you commit spiritual adultery, you will actually commit it in the physical as well. Also, these are people with no values, claiming themselves as their own God. Okay. Again, Albert Pike, right? Do as thy will, or Aleister Crowley, excuse me. Aleister Crowley said, do as thy will, founder of the Satanist Church. Verse 17, thou shalt make thee no molten gods. The feast of unleavened bread shalt thou keep 7 days. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee in the time of the month Abib. For in the month Abib thou camest out from Egypt. All, all that openeth the matrix is mine, and every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. Okay, so let me bring that term for you. Matrix, there it is, the womb. Okay, it's a woman's womb. All that openeth the matrix is mine, is the Most High. Every firstling that is male belongs to him. But the firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem with a lamb, and if thou redeem him not, then thou shalt break his neck. All the firstborns of thy sons thou shalt redeem, and none shall appear before me empty. And I'm gonna break this down, okay, in a moment. Verse 21, 6 days thou shalt work, but on the seventh day thou shalt rest. In hearing time and in harvest thou shalt rest. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingatherings at the year's end. Thrice in a year shall all your men children appear before the Lord God, the God of Israel. For I will cast out the nations before thee and enlarge thy borders, neither shall any man desire thy land, when thou shalt go up to appear before the Lord thy God thrice in a year. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, neither shall the sacrifice of the feast of Passover be left until the morning. Now, I know you're probably wondering, what in the world does it mean to appear before the Most High? Check this out, Deuteronomy 16. Deuteronomy 16, verse 16 and 17. And I read, 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. And they shall not appear before the Lord empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of the Lord thy God, which he hath given thee. Okay. So, all males. First, let's look at this word appear. Okay. So, all males, when it says to appear, it means to see, right? But pay attention. When you appear to the Most High, yes, it says appear. Okay. It also says to have experience. It also says one on another. That's meaning the man and the Most High. Okay. It says to meet. Okay. Also says to perceive, to regard, have respect, see one another. All right. Think, view, and vision. So when the Most High is telling these men to appear before him, he's saying, prepare for instruction. Okay, I'm going to give you instruction for yourself. I'm going to give you instruction for your household. I'm going to give you instructions. You may not understand them, but you'll understand them when prophecy starts to unfold. Okay, now, what does it say? They shall not appear. What does it mean when it says they shall not appear before the Lord empty? Okay. Look, empty or in vain, or what? Without cause, emptily. Look what it says. Empty means worthless. So they should not appear before the Most High with emptiness or worthlessness. This is why it says, every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of the Lord which he hath given thee. So what would be considered a blessing? Okay. Now it says present. What do you have in the present? Okay. That you can what? To kneel and to bless God as an act of adoration. Okay. What do you have to praise and salute the Almighty for? Something new this year. What do you have? That's what it means to bless the Most High. According to the blessing, and thou shalt give. Let's check this out. All right. It's a present, it's an offering. Okay. Every man shall give a present as he is able. What are those presents? Okay. And before I move forward and share with you the offerings of the Most High, understand once again, all males shall appear before the Most High on the feast of unleavened bread, on the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. Okay, these are the times where the men are supposed to appear before the Most High. Now, join me in Ecclesiasticus. Okay, Ecclesiasticus chapter 35, also known as the Rock. I'm going to go to verse 1 through 11. It says, he that keepeth the law bringeth offerings enough. So now we're seeing keeping his commands is considered offerings. He that taketh heed to the commandment offereth a peace offering. Now understand, what does the word heed mean? Heed means to observe, to attend to mind. So when you are when you want to do something and then you start thinking about the Most High, you're already offering a peace offering, okay? Because you're thinking about His ways before yours. You're thinking about His scriptures before your personal feelings. He that requiteth a good turn offereth, excuse me, he that requiteth a good turn offereth fine flour, and he that giveth alms sacrificeth praise. Okay? Requiteth, understand this. This would be more like turning around from a bad gesture. Okay? Or I would say requite be the root word. So as you can see, they're giving me requital, but same thing as requite, it's return. So he that return a good turn offereth. Okay, so it means all it means is just turning around from error. Okay, turning around from error and doing something good. You're offering fine flour. He that giveth alms sacrificeth praise. Alms, alms, as you can see, it's called an act of charity. Okay, alms. So an act of charity, giving to the poor, giving them a plate to eat. Brothers and sisters, don't give people money because people can feed addictions and habits with money. But give them a plate of love from you. Cook something up for them and give it to the first two homeless people you may see. Right? These are, and don't record it, okay? Because let the Most High see, okay? You don't have to see because this generation is really big on, oh, I gave this person this and this and this, and then they want to record it. They're doing those things for likes, but acts of charity, doing things with the act of charity. Okay. Verse 3 says, to depart from wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Lord, and to forsake unrighteousness is a propitiation, right? This word usually confuses a lot. A propitiation is what? A covering, okay? To forsake unrighteousness gives you the protection of the Most High. That's what it means, to forsake unrighteousness. Now, to depart from wickedness is a pleasing thing. So the Most High loves when you're inching back from the unrighteous ways and going into the righteous ways. And you're going to see this, you're going to see me talk about departing from wickedness and the lessons a little bit later next week, going into the leaven and unleavened man, okay? Because uh, this is going to touch really big on that, okay? The departing from the wickedness and being a new you, all right? Verse 4 reads, "Thou shalt not appear empty before the Lord, for all these things are to be done because of the commandment." So what do we say, right? What do we see? All these things are considered serving the Most High, okay? And all these things should be done by men every time to appear before the Most High, okay? It says the offering, verse 6, the offering of the righteous maketh the altar fat, and the sweet savor thereof is before the Most High. So see, we don't have to put fat